There's a moment many men experience, usually not all at once, but gradually, when our perceived value shifts, when how we have seen ourselves is no longer how others see us. And if much of our identity has been built around competence, seniority, or usefulness, that change can feel more unsettling than we expect. We notice that we are not listened to as much as we were. Our voice seems to matter less. Worse, we can see the mistakes that those around us, perhaps in our jobs or within our families, are about to make, but our ability to help people help themselves seem to disappear as fast as people stop listening. I'm 57 years old and recently interviewed for a job that was at my current level and drew heavily on my established skills and experience. The interview went well. You can tell when there is eye contact, interest, and genuine rapport. When the panel chair called to tell me I was unsuccessful, they were polite, respectful, and complimentary about how the interview had gone and my skills and experience. But they decided to go with a candidate that was, in their words, a better fit with the team. And I wasn't surprised and I wasn't upset. I had gone into this opportunity hopefully and was genuinely surprised to be interviewed. But I quietly expected this outcome. Workers over 50 are well used to this. We know the code phrases, and we know how the doors don't so much slam in front of us but close softly, firmly, with an audible click as the lock turns. This is a normal part of life, but it can be mystifying and frustrating if we are not prepared. When those doors close and we feel sidelined, there's an understandable degree of indignance that can creep in, or even blurt out. The question in our minds, one that we may feel like shouting, is, "Don't you know who I am?" The unfortunate reality that we may not even be aware of in that moment is that we are not really asking, "Don't you know who I am?" but actually, "Don't you know who I used to be?" Those are two very different questions. We haven't failed, but the world keeps moving, and the version of us it once revolved around has inevitably become part of the past. If this situation strikes a chord with you, or if you have been through something similar, please comment below. Tell me about it. I'm interested to read it. And like the video. Systems have a problem coping with experience. The algorithm will totally want me to talk about ageism right now. And to be fair, ageism is very real in Western society. But we also can't ignore the wider human pattern. Experience can be a liability to settled systems, like jobs and families. It can be intimidating. It can threaten to upend settled work and social structures. Experience can challenge. It can provoke and shine a bright light into dark corners that don't want to be lit up. And experience can also grate against the way that structures are designed to work. In our jobs, hiring younger demonstrates to wider audiences that the organization is forward-looking, focused on potential, open to new ideas. On the other hand, hiring older can risk the perception of conservatism, closed-mindedness, and a resistance to change. Our families are built around nurturing future generations, and the attention can naturally gravitate in this direction. As we age beyond our child-raising years, the voice and the attention shifts to family-age men in their prime. But most importantly and fundamentally, part of the human condition is to experience, to learn by doing, to discover things for ourselves. When we were younger, we had to make our own mistakes, climb our own mountains, and call achievements our own. So there is a natural limit to how much humans allow the wisdom of others to shape our own view of the world. The torch inevitably passes, whether we are ready for it or not. For a long time, it's natural to let roles shape our identity. Work, responsibility, status, being relied upon, being the person who solves things. Those roles give us structure, meaning. They drive us forward. They give us a sense of our place in the world. But when those structures loosen through career change, aging, redundancy, or simply time, our very identity is challenged. If I'm no longer who I used to be, who am I now? There's often a kind of grief here. Not always sadness, more a sense of diminished influence, fading recognition, lost momentum, or the feeling that a former version of you now belongs to history. And we may not even be able to show that grief without fearing criticism, pity, or even contempt from those around us. We may hear, "Well, what did you expect? You're not as young as you used to be." Or, "Just try harder. You shouldn't be going backwards at this stage." Or even, "Man up. You've gotten so soft. No wonder people don't take you seriously." So many of us do not say what we really feel. Instead, when we feel that we are being sidelined, men often lean in one of two directions. Some cling, holding tighter to credentials, rehearsing past relevance, trying to preserve a status that is naturally shifting. Others perform some reinvention, like theatre. New labels, new identities, a visible attempt at renewal. The gym memberships, selfies, fad diets, and dressing younger. A lot of the time, this is more about image than substance, and more about deception and self-deception than truth. But the issue isn't how we look, it is in what direction we are looking. A more useful question might be, if I'm no longer defined by my old role, what defines me now? Not how do I stay impressive, not how do I prove I still matter, but how do I live in a way that feels grounded, steady, and self-respecting, even if fewer people are watching? That's not about shrinking. It's about shifting our center of gravity from external validation to internal alignment. Many of us absorbed a belief about ourselves growing up, that our worth lies in what we produce, provide, or carry. This is a fundamental part, even today, of what's instilled in all of us as young men. And there is dignity in contribution, in responsibility, in competence. But if usefulness becomes the only foundation of our identity, it leaves us exposed. Because there will come a time, there will be a point when our capacity changes. As we age, the limitations become real, or our authority softens. People have to discover things for themselves rather than rely on us. Or our relevance narrows because our past is not necessarily other people's future. And of course, when our energy simply isn't what it once was. And if our identity is defined by our function, this reckoning can feel like erasure. We don't need to meet this change by denying the loss, or panicking, or trying to manufacture a new persona. Instead, we can mature. We can move from who I am in the hierarchy to what kind of man am I now? What do I stand behind? How do I treat people? Am I trusted? And the thing is, if we are true to ourselves, if we are consistent and people can see what we stand for, then there is respect and value that follows. The role of the sage can be just as valuable as that of the dragon slayer. And when those younger, newer, up-and-coming folk come across a task that is beyond them, they often search for someone who has, in the words of Liam Neeson, a very specific set of skills. Those skills haven't vanished or been stripped away. They haven't actually gone anywhere. And we can choose to use our talents and abilities in totally new ways. Many successful, mature men learn to work for themselves, to hire out their skills, or apply them in totally new areas, or to create and inspire. A lifetime of being resilient and resourceful leaves us powerful even as we age. In making this leap, we need to decide, what do I carry forward and what do I lay down? We need to keep our essential values and our skill, experience, and capability. We need to lay down our expectations about how we thought life would be and our entitlement about what we thought we deserved. This isn't reinvention, it's consolidation. There is a particular dignity in reaching a point where we don't need to dominate the room. We don't need to win the comparison. We don't need to defend earlier versions of ourselves, not because we've given up, but because we've outgrown the need to perform for legitimacy and for others' approval. Life becomes less about proving and more about standing comfortably in a way that we can live with. Hi, I'm Jared, and this channel is about our identity and purpose as men in midlife and beyond. This isn't self-help, it's about encouraging the conversations that men need to have but are often too scared to start. If this is something you want to be a part of, please like the video and consider subscribing to the channel. Losing an old identity can feel like diminishment, but it can also be a release, a chance to live with less performance, less defensiveness, less hunger for validation, and more steadiness, more clarity, and more self-respect, and more freedom. Not louder, not flashier, just truer to ourselves.